ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברו. Formal Judaism starts really with the revelation on Mount Sinai, when Moses receives the tablets of the law, the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, wherein all the norms are described, how the Jewish people were supposed to behave in the future. They were freed from Egypt, but they needed some norms, some laws, how to regulate their lives. Otherwise, they would never form into a people really. So it starts really with their presence at Mount Sinai, when the law is given by God to the Jewish people. However, many will argue that Judaism really started before, with the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They already behaved according to certain moral code, and they taught tremendous things. Abraham taught that there is only one God, not only one God, a God that is just, a God that isn't capricious, that doesn't do whatever he wants. He also follows certain norms, certain rules. According to our rabbis, God follows the rules of the Torah himself. In other words, God isn't arbitrary. You know beforehand. This is why Abraham can ask God, why is he going to destroy 2 cities and the just are going to die together with the unjust? How can he do such a thing? God is a just God. So the patriarchs taught us many things. But on the other hand, they also made some mistakes. For instance, how does Jacob obtain the blessing from his father Isaac, who is almost blind? He disguises as if he were Esau, and his mother Rebekah helps him in that, and he presents himself before his father Isaac as if he were Esau, and he obtains the blessing. Of course, many rationalize that Esau was not the proper son to receive the blessing. Jacob was the one. He was going to continue in the tradition of his father and his grandfather. And were it not for that, maybe we would have lost continuity in Judaism. The Torah says that if you have a wife that is loved and one that is not so much loved, in the times of the Torah you could have more than one wife, you cannot, when it comes to giving a double portion, prefer the son of the loved wife above the other one, who may be the firstborn. But this is the opposite of what Jacob did. Jacob knew that Reuben was his oldest, yet he treated as the firstborn Joseph, and he treated him preferentially over the other brothers, and it caused a lot of heartaches, jealousy. The brothers saw that Jacob preferred one brother above the others, and eventually our ancestors ended up in Egypt as slaves, all a consequence of the fact that Jacob showed preference of one son above the others. He should have treated everybody the same way, but he bought a coat of many colors. He bought that for his preferred son Joseph and not for the others. Well, what is the Torah trying to teach us? On the one hand, some of our interpreters say that our patriarchs observed even Pesach, Passover, the liberation from Egypt, something that was going to happen centuries afterwards. Maybe what they're trying to tell us is that the notion of liberty was already part of their nature. They knew that liberty is above all. God is entirely free. We are not completely free, but we have something of that freedom God gave us as an innate right of every human being. So the patriarchs taught many things, but they also taught maybe some things we shouldn't do. As I said, prefer one son above the other, to do things that are not quite morally right. We have a case of 2 brothers, Shimon and Levi, who feel that their sister was violated by a young man. He's a prince. So they tell the people of that city, you know, if you want to, we can become one nation, but you have to circumcise in order to be together with us. On the third day after they are all circumcised, they go and kill everybody there, all the males. Was that right? Well, they said they treated their sister as a harlot. Can you do that? Jacob didn't like the idea at all. He felt, who knows what the inhabitants of those lands are going to do with us. Lately, I think, that our patriarchs taught us what to do and maybe what not to do. Actually, there's no human being that does only good in this world and doesn't make any mistakes. It's a question of whether you learn from your mistakes or you don't learn. Don't give up. If you make a mistake, that is in order. You shouldn't repeat the same thing in the future. You have to become better because of the wrong that you did and the decision you make that you're not going to do the same thing all over again. So on the one hand, our patriarchs were really pioneers in morality, in ethics, in many things. When everybody was an idolater, they conceived the idea of one God. But they made mistakes also, and we can learn from their mistakes. And many people think that we learn more from mistakes than from good deeds that we do.